we just stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone could just check and make sure their cell phone is either on silent or off. That would be great. Paula has the announcements up there. If anybody'd like to see them for the public hearings, put in the Times of the record. The first public hearing is going to be proposed local law number 3, commercial solar moratorium. I would like to go over a few things about this first. I've had quite a few inquiries about things that are pre-existing, so as everyone knows, Orrin Pearson, his is already in the process and is already being constructed. There's also 2 other ones that are currently in the planning board stage. They in no way, shape, or form are going to be affected. And furthermore, any new applications that come in that Linda has received prior to it being voted on will also be included and will not be exempt from this commercial solar moratorium. One of the biggest issues that I personally have with it is we're spending all of this money. It's been 30 years since we did our master plan over it. And 30 years ago, nobody knew what solar even was. So I'm not against green energy. I think it's awesome. But I don't want it on every road in the town of Mount Hope. There's some that are done very professionally, and the setbacks are awesome, and there's some that in other townships are pretty much an eyesore. And a lot of the residents, you know, it may be great for 1 or 2 people, but a lot of the residents don't want to look at it for 30 years. So I would like to be selective, and the purpose of doing our master plan is so that we have commercial things in one area and residential things in one area. And again, we're not going to penalize anyone that has already started the process, but I do want to limit it as we move forward, because I don't think Mount Hope should have 15 of them. And again, that's just my personal opinion. Any board comments on the moratorium?
I had one question asked to me. Is the town board have any mechanism implemented or proposed to be implemented to, if it feels, extend the time frames when they arrive? Was a question I had. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe that's something one of us, all of us would have to check the calendar in 6 months.
That's correct. The initial moratorium period would be 6 months, with 2 3-month extensions. Those extensions would have to be done by resolution prior to the expiration of each of those time frames.
I mean, you and Dominic are on the, I mean, what do you think, 6 months will we have the master plan?
The plan right now is where we stand in it, where we've started the zoning process. The gentleman who's in charge actually thinks that it'll be somewhere around the end of June that we will have our public hearings. We're required to have a public hearing as our committee, and then the town will be required to have a public hearing before it's voted on. So there will be 2 public meetings. One will be an informational meeting to take comments from the public, and after the comments are in, and if there's any adjustments made, then there will be another public hearing to go over the draft. After the draft is approved by the committee, it's submitted to the board, and then the draft has to be approved by the board. But they also have to have a public hearing to approve the draft.
So potentially we could be ready at 6
We're looking at June, July for it to be finished, but that's also, you know, not a dead hard line, because there's an awful lot to be done, and it's a pretty big process.
Brian?
I have no comment.
Don?
Well, that's all I needed to say.
Jim?
No comment.
Okay, so at this time, I'd like to open it up to the public. If anyone has any questions, concerns, please come up, state your name at the podium, and
Hi, good evening. My name is Marcia Jacobowitz. I'm from Jacobowitz and Gubitz. We're the attorney for Borrego Solar, who's planning to put a solar farm on the Willis family farm, and they're all present this evening as well. In regard to your comment, Mr. Supervisor, as to no project that's in the planning stage being subject to the moratorium, we have shared with the town attorney some language that we would hope be included in the local law so that that is memorialized, and that anything that is in front of the planning board has been issued a building permit, be excluded from the moratorium.
That's
So,
already in the law, correct?
I don't believe so. I don't believe that specific language is, and there can be, there is open to interpretation that those particular projects are not excluded from the moratorium. So, as I said,
Yeah,
we shared.
I've not received the email from John. I did speak to him today. I have a feeling he sent it to an old email address that I don't use anymore. So I can check it and I can share it with the board tomorrow when I get in. I'll give John a call. and
I'll
just-
forward it to you.
Okay, I
I'll forward it
appreciate
to you,
that.
I have your current email.
Mhm.
So, and if the board would take that under advisement, that's what we're requesting.
Perfect. Obviously, there's other things that the permit is subject to, which has nothing to do with the moratorium. It's not
Correct.
automatic that you would get your,
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes, we're
Okay.
not saying
All
anything
right.
in regard to the planning board process or, you know, anything that it shouldn't be subject to, all of the things that it presently is, or potentially may be.
Sure,
But
okay.
with respect, you know, specifically to the moratorium, those projects that are in the planning board that have their applications submitted or building permits issued, not be subject to the moratorium, as you had already indicated. But having that language in the local law would certainly allay any, you know, concerns
Sure.
that they, you know, be
Perfect.
subject to it. So, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Is there any additional board comments?
No comments?
Ryan? Don?
No, sir, I'm good.
Jim?
Okay.
Okay, so basically, we were waiting to hear back from Orange County on their comments, which we have not yet received. So at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing, however, hold the vote until next meeting so that we can receive our concerns or statements from the county prior to approving it. Is that good, David?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, so I'd like a motion to close the public hearing on the commercial solar moratorium.
I'll make the motion, we close the public hearing.
Second,
Second motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
And Paul, if you could just make a note, then we'll put that on the next. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for local law number 4, regulating trees in Mount Hope. So, I know Amy has done a lot of work on this, Dean, but Dean's been involved with me on this too. We're trying to become a tree city, and it just requires all of this additional laws and what have you. But basically, this is just public trees, so it's not any tree that's in anybody's yard or anything. It's basically having a formula to make sure that the trees are kept up on and they're kept in good condition, and somebody becomes the tree designee, that if there's ever an issue, somebody can talk to. And that's the purpose of this, so that we can send this local law to New York State to become a tree city, which in turn gives us additional funding to plant additional trees in our park. Long-winded, but hopefully everyone gets it. Is there any questions from the board on local law number 4?
No questions.
Just one question, we're not looking to hire somebody for this, right?
Oh, goodness, no.
Okay, just checking.
No,
Were you interested, Jim?
No.
I am looking for volunteers though.
Tree, that's a arborist?
Yes.
It basically establishes an advisory committee that would serve without compensation.
No,
So no comments?
no comment.
All right. Does anyone from the public have any questions or concerns? Please just come up to the podium, state your name, and hearing none, that's awesome. I would like to close the public hearing for local law number 4, regulating trees in the town of Mount Hope.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on local law number 4.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At this time, I would like to approve local law number 4.
Just be aware that actually you'll be approving it as local law number 3, since this vote is gonna come before the other. So the numbers, even as put up for the public hearing notices, will be swapped.
Okay, so at this time, I'd like to approve local law number 3, regulating trees in the town of Mount Hope.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second,
Second motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I would like a motion to approve the minutes from April 16th, 2018, and also April 20th, 2018.
I'll make the motion to approve the 2 board minutes.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Correspondence, Paula. This is Paula's debut, everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone stare at her.
There's 2 budget mods from the supervisor. There's a budget mod from Highway. There's the Aga Markets inspection report, completed on 4/19. There's a free rabies clinic in the town of Woodbury, that's being held May 20th, from 10 to noon. You have to pre-register at the Woodbury clerk. I have building department, April 2018 report. I have 2 complaints that have been addressed. One is 21 Spruce Road, one is 426 New Vernon Road. And one more complaint on 1015 Route 211. I have the Palmer Ozark impoundment report. I have a public notice from the ZBA in town of Wallkill regarding an area variance for a rear setback that's being held Monday, May 14th. I have the minutes from the Community Advisory Board, trash report 2018, April. I have planning board report from 2016 and 2017. This is correspondence from Fusco Engineering about Dragon Springs, and this is about the planning board of Deer Park becoming lead agency under SECRA. And that I think has been addressed. This is a letter from Department of Human Resources, a letter to you, Chad, about the part-time employment.
Yes, I just wanted to advise the board so that
Okay.
they knew about competitive, not competitive.
This is about part-time employment and broader sense of 140 hours a
Yep.
year, right?
Yep.
20-hour work week.
Yes, it was just an advisement so that the board kind of saw when we do competitive, non-competitive as to what we get from the county.
Okay,
Perfect.
and that's it?
You did great. Board reports. What do you got, Matt?
Okay, the Comprehensive Plan Committee will have its next meeting on June 28th, 5 PM here at the Town Hall. It's a Thursday evening. And this upcoming weekend, for Mother's Day, Saturday, the Howells Fire Company has a fundraiser, pancake breakfast, which is the 12th. And the 13th, which is Sunday, the Otisville Fire Company has a pancake breakfast fundraiser as well. And that is all this evening.
Ryan, I know he just,
2 things, no, we knew.
oh, all right.
2 things off my list. I'll start this way. Little League had their parade April 28th, beautiful day. I think I didn't hear anything, didn't go smooth. I actually watched it this year instead of marching in it. I took a bunch of pictures, posted them on our Facebook page. I think things went very well. What else do I have here? Community Day, I just posted a bunch of stuff on our Facebook page today. Community Day, I know it's in July, but I wanted to post that we're still looking for vendors. The one thing that Matt didn't say is Otisville Volunteer Fire Company is having a blood drive on the 9th. I didn't show you that one. From 1:30 to 7:30, so that's this Wednesday. Anyone wants to come out and donate blood. Summer camp, I have a little note here. May 11th, which is Friday, is going to be the last day for early registration. After that, a late fee is going to apply. It's on our webpage and it's also on the Facebook page. Took care of that today. And the one other thing that I'm going to add, next Tuesday, Minnesink Valley is having their school budget vote. I know we don't really talk about this, but I'm just going to say it's from 12 p.m. to 9, so come out and vote if you want your school budget vote. And that's all I have.
What you got, Don?
To keep it short, there's just a few things. Plans for camp are moving along, the directors and we have met with all the directors. We have plans to meet with counselors. Registration has taken place 3 days. There's pretty much open registration, so if you have kids that want to register for camp, the sooner the better. There will be a late charge after a certain date.
The 11th,
After the 11th?
this Friday.
So, that's a quick thing on camp, but I did want to touch on more on the comprehensive master plan. Now that we're into the phase where we're going over all the zoning, people are welcome at all these meetings. There are a few people who attend. This is a pretty important part of the process, so public input is important because these laws are made by you, we're representing you. So the more public input we get, the better off we are, the more that we understand. So on June 28th, the next meeting, anybody that's able to come around at 5 o'clock, you can learn something and you can put your 2 cents in. All right? So you can do that before the public hearing. All that will guide us through the process on how you want your town to be developed. And I guess that's all I'll talk on tonight.
Jim?
Okay, library cards, as of May 1st, we have 1 a week. The Village of Otisville discussed purchasing the Dodge Durango from the town. They also discussed purchased a new truck for Frank Valentino. And they're looking for bids on the roof for the rec hall portion of the firehouse. And the fire calls, I was able to get the fire calls from the chief at the last meeting. Fire calls for April was 16 calls. And the planning board discussion was basically on the solar farm in Finchville and a 9-plot subdivision on Maple Lane, Maple. That's it, that's all I have.
Thanks, Jim. Just to add a few things, 77 campers as of today for summer camp, and the one of the biggest turnouts for applications for counselors this year. I know last year we were kind of struggling. If it's anything like last year, I think we had 14 counselors, and I believe we have 30 applications this year. Pretty impressive. But we just need the campers. I hope we could use all 30, but it is what it is. Tomorrow I will be meeting with the town electrician, one of the highway guys, which will help with some of the interior electric for the future community center, and the engineer. So hopefully by next meeting, I'll be able to bring everyone up to speed once I know what our next meeting is. Highway, what do you have, Dean?
I have 2 summer hires that I need you to approve tonight. One is Joseph Wickham. He's back for a 2nd year. He'll be back at the minimum wage. And Logan Krantz, who's back for his 4th year, he'll be back at 50 cents over the minimum wage. I have the annual highway school in Ithaca. The school is 110. The dates are June 3rd through June 6th, 3 nights in a hotel, $462. The last thing I have is, I got some prices on a new flagpole for out by the, behind our sign. 30 foot, the one that's out there is about 18, 20 foot. best price I can find is $1,650. And they range up to $2,310.84.
Is this expandable?
It's a solid piece,
Solid.
it's not expandable.
Fiberglass?
Aluminum, one piece.
What size flags?
That one will take 6x10 flag.
That's a nice size flag.
Let's see it from your house.
Withstands 105-mile-an-hour wind with a flag, 170 without the flag. Specs you wanted to know, right?
So if you don't see the flag on the pole, you're probably in a bad spot, I get it.
That's all I have.
So Dean, is it 462 for the hotel and 110 for the?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't we, so I don't get messed up, how about a motion to approve Joseph Wickham and Logan France for summer help for 2018? I'd like to approve them for the temporary summer work position.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
I would like a motion to approve Dean attending highway school June 3rd to June 6th for a total cost of $572.
I'll make the motion to be sent.
Second,
Second motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
One quick question, Dean. Flag guys, is that who you went to?
I've got the one with the best price I see is the Liberty Flagpole Company. The other one is Flagpole Warehouse. Flag guys I did see,
He's in New Britain.
local.
Yep, he's in New Britain.
All right, I'll check that first.
The flag guy, it's called. the name.
The flag guy.
Oh, I know where he is.
He's
Right in the road.
No, he's on, down the main road, 32. The only bad part about him, and I'm just gonna add my 2 cents, is I priced flags from him and I have nothing negative to say. It's just he's obviously buying his stuff from somebody else. And I don't know if you went online and found pricing, there's, you can call him and ask him pricing wise, but I don't think he's gonna touch your
I'm
price.
assuming you're gonna install it yourselves?
Yeah.
How long does it take to get?
Uh,
How do they ship something like that?
I don't
Hold on,
know.
one question at a time.
Sorry.
You're right.
The helicopter it in?
Common carrier.
I think they were 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, and they must ship them, Tom McCarry, because the one of the charges for shipping, that's why the price was so high. It was like $600 to ship it.
I have no more questions.
Lisa, Paul, you are up.
Thanks. So we'll do the police awards at the end, but just quickly, a couple things. The new records management system's up and running. We've been running for about a week, and everything seems to be going well. The speed trailer, with the help of the city of Middletown, we got it up and running and put it through its paces, and we're gonna get it out Wednesday. Chad asked me to start it at the town park by the ball fields, so we'll run it there for a week. I think what we're thinking, hey Angelo, can you just shut that door? What we're thinking is we're gonna run it for a week in each location, and then we'll download the data and move it to the next location, but then use that data to maybe assign police patrols or whatever is necessary for those locations. It'll give you a car count, it'll give you all kinds of data, and we were playing around with it out on Sanitarium the other day. So
I've gotten 3 calls requesting it at Little League.
yeah, so we're gonna stick it up there.
Yeah.
I was saying to Chad before the meeting, I think we'll put it to start with at least to see how it goes by Rotors Arc, end of the parking lot facing like towards Mill Pond or towards the old barn, and see what we get from there. I think we'll get more speeds from people coming in than the other way. It does, if you are speeding, it flashes red and blue strobes at you, so just in our observations, people definitely jam on the brakes, and the lights actually slow them down. But, there's a bunch of different features that we'll have to play with, depending on the time of day, night and stuff that we couldn't recreate evening issues when we did it. So we'll get that up and running, we'll put something out, myself and Chad will put out some kind of request, and people can let us know.
Requested for different locations.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is we'll have to scope out exactly where we're gonna put it, because it's gotta be able to safely fit off to the shoulder, and we have to be able to secure it to something, so, you know, we won't be able to necessarily put it in front of people's specific houses and specific spots. We'll do our best to accommodate everybody, but
Has to be leveled and all.
it has to be level, yeah, it's gotta be, you know, can't be on a hairpin turn, it's gotta be in a safe spot. So we'll work on that, and I think as we go, we'll get probably better with it. But anyway, so that'll be up. The Orange County Sheriff's Deputies 5K run is this Saturday at the park, 9 o'clock, it goes off. I met with them today up at the park, I think they're all set. We got some fire police, some volunteers, and a couple people that are working, so there'll be no additional cost. So they're gonna be setting up around 7 o'clock and people are registering. He had 130, I think, registered as of this morning, which isn't bad for a first year, for a start. And then, you know, of course, if it's a nice day, they'll get more and more. So the route is the same as the run that the fair does. It starts on Finchville, goes to, or actually starts on Mount Hope Avenue and ends on Finchville. It goes down to Grange to Mill Pond to Finchville. So it's that same exact route. So should be all set with that.
Perfect.
And, other than the awards at the end, I have nothing else unless someone has any questions.
How long do they anticipate they'll close now?
Well, we're thinking probably roughly 45 minutes. I think that'll get even the walkers off. It might be a little quicker, you know, just from our experience with the fair, it's anywhere from a half hour to 40 minutes, because you'll have people pushing strollers and that kind of stuff. So we'll try to do it as quickly as we safely can.
Will the speed trailer pick up people's speed as they're running? You guys have that?
That'll work, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it'll skew the numbers a little bit. We'll see. But anyway, so that's why.
Thanks, Paul. And Dean, the guardrail, I mean, big difference. I go home that way every day, and it really does funnel the people to the crosswalks.
And we did paint crosswalks, and was able to get a couple guys over there during trash. But I do have New York State crosswalk signs I'm trying to get up with. Maybe we'll get them up tomorrow.
Okay, but it really is, I mean, like, I think it's just 6 o'clock or so I leave here, and you'll see everyone, and they kind of just funnel right there, which is what you want them to do, and not just jet across at any particular spot, so.
Definitely makes a difference.
It's definitely helpful. Village of Otisville, Diane?
Well, your board members did a really good job of covering almost everything, so I just have two comments. One, sorry I wasn't able to be at the last meeting, but I did view it online, and I wanted to thank Matt for having taken to heart. The meeting prior, I had mentioned that I was hoping that the comprehensive plan committee would be looking at requiring solar installers to provide training for emergency services personnel. And Matt read the letter at the last meeting that they were sending on to the planning board to please be sure that they were addressing those concerns, and I appreciated that very, very much. And the only other thing I have is to thank the police department and Paul and his staff who completed the Orange County application that's necessary for us to reroute some things for the yard sale. And Paul and I will be getting together this week for the final. They want a copy of the map, so we'll do that. That's it.
Thanks, Diane. All right, moving along. Summer recreation, I think we've all covered it. Yes, yeah, so citizen preparedness, of course, this is on our website
And Facebook.
and Facebook page. We were asked to have one of our own classes, so it's going to be June 13th, 6 o'clock at the Senior Center. It is 100% free. Trying to get New York State to kick in a couple of goodies and some flashlights and whatever, but it's a decent course. I know, Diane, you've attended it for the seniors. Deer Park had 80, 90 people in attendance, and I got some requests, so we started getting the ball rolling, and that's our date. If we pre-register, there's a better chance that they'll bring survival bags and everything with them, because they kind of want to have a count. So if you could just call Town Hall, pre-register with Angie, she'll throw you on the list, and hopefully we have a great showing. The local law for commercial solar is moved to next meeting. This one's already done. The grant updates, as you'll see with our budget modifications coming up, we got reimbursed for all of the work currently that has been done at the Future Community Center. We finally got our grant from Senator Bonasek for the Hidden Valley Sewer District. $75,000 came in. And Dean got fully reimbursed $50,000 for the mower that he bought. And all of the checks actually came in one day, so. Very, very good. And that's what you'll see with the budget modifications. As we have to increase one line and then actually move the money back to where we spent it from. Proclamation. Paula.
Yes.
An abbreviated version of whatever's in front of you,
An abbreviated?
whatever you want.
Okay. The proclamation
You
for
want me to take
national.
care of it first?
You wanna take care of it?
I mean, I can do it. So this is a proclamation for National Police Week, and just to cut through the chase, it's just that, to remember that last year there was about 60,000 assaults against law enforcement personnel, resulting in about 16,000 injuries, and since 1791, over 19,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have been killed in the line of duty, and that the annual National Police Week Candlelight Vigil is taking place on Sunday, May 13th, and May 13th through the 19th is designated as National Police Week, and so it be resolved the Town Board of the Town of Mount Hope formally designate May 13th through 19th, 2018 as Police Week in the Town of Mount Hope, and public salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and communities across the nation.
Very nicely. I would like a motion to approve the proclamation as read.
I'll make the motion to approve the Police Week proclamation.
Second?
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
As everything else rotates, we will be getting a retired police car to take over for the Dodge Durango that I'm proposing to sell to the village. They are in need of something better for our DCO officer. So part of the agreement that we have with the village is we pay the salary for the DCO officer and they pay for the equipment. So I would like to make a motion that we sell our Dodge Durango to the village of Otisville for a total cost of $3,800.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Budget modifications, would you mind reading those?
Sure. Budget modification to increase revenue line SS 2770 unclassified by $75,000 for DASNY reimbursement. Increase expense line SS 8130.4 Hidden Valley contractual by $75,000.
Thank you. I would like a motion to approve the budget modification as read.
I'll make the motion, we approve the budget modification.
Second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent.
Next one is increase revenue line A 2770 unclassified revenue by $19,390 from DSNY reimbursement. Increase expense line A 1620.4 building contractual by $19,390.
Thanks, Paula. I'd like a motion to approve the budget modification as read.
I'll make the motion to approve the budget modification.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
You want to do highways?
Sure. Increase revenue line D 2770 unclassified revenue by $50,000 from DSNY grant reimbursement for roadside mower. Increase capital highway equipment by $50,000.
Thank you, Paul. Motion to approve budget modification as read.
I'll make the motion, we approve the budget modification.
Second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our annual report from our accountant should be here by next meeting. Everyone will have a copy, anyone can view it. We do not have it, she did come back this past week and caught up on a lot of other things, and I was told that our annual report would be delivered to us this week. So I'll have Angie or Paul or Kathleen send out a email once the town has possession of them. I would like a motion to pay the bills.
Make the motion, we pay our bills?
Second,
Second it?
all in favor?
Aye.
Did I miss? Public participation.
I just have one very quick announcement so that Dean and the office staff know. May the 29th, which is a Tuesday, will be the next senior trip. And we do have quite a few people signed up, so it'll probably be a pretty packed parking lot.
Where you going?
Well, Holly, Pennsylvania, we're going to the Silver Birches Resort for lunch, but prior to it, we go to the old silk mill in Holly, which has been restored, so there's a tour there, and I guess there's naturally shopping opportunity. Then we'll be at the resort for lunch, and then after lunch, we're going on a steam train ride through the area, so it should be a really nice day. It's a long day. We leave at 8:30, we won't be back till 6:30, so don't think we got lost.
No problem. Thanks, Diane. Anybody else?
Yep, you got it. Take her.
Just let Angel go.
I can accommodate anytime.
Frank Ketchum, Town of Milton. In regards to the moratorium, I wondered what the violation was and what constitutes the violation of the moratorium law?
Basically, it would be any type of individual didn't have their application in on time attempting to actually construct. So it'd basically be the same as a building code violation anyway, but for this specific type of construction, we're attaching a particular penalty for it.
Then, for the third time, I'd like to respectfully request that the town consider passing a resolution urging the governor of New York and the New York State DEC to revoke any and all state permits for the CPV Valley Power Plant, declaring Competitive Power Ventures an unsuitable permittee and bad actor, urging the state legislature to initiate oversight hearings into the matter, and urging the Commissioner of the New York State Department of Health to assess health impacts reported by the residents. Do you guys have any comments on regards to that?
Matt?
I think the last time you asked us to pass a law, if I remember correctly, law or resolution.
Resolution or legislation?
Because like I said, if it was a law, I don't see what a law in Mount Hope would, that's what I thought your initial request was, so how that would affect them in another township. But this, to me, a resolution is not a law, so that's.
Yeah, I thought it was a letter, so you want us to.
That's what we were looking for. I mean, this is what the county's done and a number of other towns and villages.
That's what the county did after they gave all the tax breaks. So, that's. you know,
Well, again, we're looking to support this and support the, again, whether it's legislation or a resolution. And Protect Orange has created a draft copy. If you guys would like to see it, or if you'd like to read it, I can send it over to the town. But I just wondered why we wouldn't participate in it or make a stance against it.
If you could send it to me, I'll forward it to David and throw it on the agenda for the next meeting.
All right, thank you.
Perfect. Anybody else? Board comments. What do you got, Jim?
I have nothing, but the only thing I have in comment for Dean, I've noticed at the senior center when I was doing my weekend, the women's bathroom, one of the stalls, the toilet paper holder metal is broken. We want to get that replaced. before someone gets hurt on that.
Yeah, I hope our maintenance worker's back tomorrow.
That's the only thing I had.
He was out of the country, I hope he's
He's back.
all right.
Don?
Just a quick question for Dean also.
Poor Dean.
Dean, well, this is for several things. This has to do with the grants that we've received, like $144,000 in grants that we're showing tonight. A lot of people put a lot of time into rating these grants, and the requirements are astronomical, what they want you to jump through the hoops. So Dean's office, Chad's office has spent tons and tons of hours getting these grants awarded to us. To date, the amount of grant money that we received, this was $150,000. $700,000 in grants in 5 years, that's a ton of money. But these people deserve a little bit of a pat on the back for the amount of work that they go through to get these grants.
Thank you.
And that's all I wanted to say.
Brian?
I was gonna ask Dean something, but I have no comments.
Pat?
Just, I wonder if anyone from the old school was here and had any progress or updates with their grant application they've been pursuing to the county?
It's been submitted, it was submitted by the deadline, so.
You're just waiting on the county at this point?
Of course, yeah.
You did-
I wish we knew something, but I think it was like 2 weeks ago, so.
You did see that we had both of your meetings you requested?
I'm sorry?
You did see that we had both of the meetings that you
Yes,
requested?
thank you very much, yes.
Dean, did you?
No, I'll wait till next meeting.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about these rules.
Okay. I left myself
It's
in
not,
there.
it's not that,
Okay. You and I will talk meanwhile anyway.
you know.
Perfect.
Just so everybody knows, the sign for the cemetery was put up this morning.
And it looks absolutely awesome.
Yeah, they bought, plastic coverings for 4x4s, so it looks nice.
We're gonna have a sellout over there.
Anyone wanna buy what?
What?
Not yet.
Is there any news on the,
Lots of them right now.
Chad, is there any news on the sale?
I think they only meet once a month. They're commissioners?
The fourth one.
Okay, okay, because I sent everything back with, with Jason, but I'm thinking, I think we just missed their last meeting. And I thought they met every week, but then I asked them, they said once a month, so. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make them. Go ahead, Don.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
You guys switch that? Yep. You guys can come in, you can open the door. Great.
Now we got it.
Are we turning it off?
No, I wanted to make sure it was on. How are you?
Well, it's on. Guys, I want to thank everybody for coming. You got to tell everyone else to come in that wants to come in. How are you? Fun one. And so again, I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank Chad and the town board for giving us this opportunity to recognize the police. I don't know where the years have gone, but this, I'll finish up my 8th year this month here, which, again, it just seems like it's gone very quickly. Over the past 8 years, with the support of many people, the previous town boards and this town board, the police department has really grown. We're better trained, we're better equipped, we're more diverse. We have increased the amount of services that we offer to the community. And that took a lot of work from a lot of people. Again, from the officers to the civilian staff to the town board members. We couldn't have done it. It's really not about me, it's about everybody else that's put the time and the effort in. So tonight I'd just like to recognize some of the officers with some commendations, and then we'll award our Officer of the Year and Dedicated Service Award for the year. So first up, if Mike Hayes could step forward. So, I'm sorry. So on October 13th of 2017, this past October, Officer Mike Hayes and Officer Bill Sherwood were dispatched to a call of a suicidal person on Jean Ridge Drive. Upon arrival at that location, they encountered a subject that was locked in a bedroom. When they went to speak with him, he opened the door and he displayed what appeared to be a rifle. The officers were able to take cover and secure the scene. The gentleman retreated back into his room and without any injury. After some negotiations between the Orange County Sheriff's Tactical Team, the subject surrendered. He was found in possession of drugs, and he was actually just recently indicted on numerous counts of criminal possession of a controlled substance and also menacing. So Officer Sherwood, who could not be here tonight, and Officer Hayes did a great job in being able to take control of the situation without leading to someone being injured or killed. And it's a credit to him and Officer Sherwood for that to happen. So on behalf of the police department, I'd like to give a certificate of merit to Officer Michael Hayes in recognition for his valuable contributions to the Jean Ridge Road barricade subject arrest on October 13th, 2017. Sure. We'll take some pictures at the end. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next up, Anna, Sergeant Brasino. She's looking forward to this. So, approximately 1 year ago, in late May of 2017, I was contacted by the New York State Police, and they had an unusual request of us at that time. They were involved in a human trafficking and prostitution ring, and they did not have any officers or members of the state police that they felt could work in an undercover capacity in the environment. And they had requested Sergeant Brasino assist them in that undercover investigation. And after talking to Chad, we loaned her, at no cost to the town, to the New York State Police, where she worked undercover in a prostitution and human trafficking case involving some hotels, well, motels, for lack of a better word, over in the town of New Windsor area. And based on her work on the case and some other officers from New Windsor and also members of the New York State Police, they were able to arrest several males and several females on prostitution and drug charges. And they were able to close down the one motel, and there was some tax implications. So again, a credit not only to the department that they were able to make this request, but to Sergeant Brasino for working in a very dangerous and a very difficult situation. And it was a great job by her. And again, nobody was injured, nobody killed, and they were able to make arrests, and it was a great job done by her. So on behalf of the police department, we'd like to issue a certificate of merit to Sergeant Anna Brasino in recognition of her contributions to the New York State Police undercover sting operation in the summer of 2017. One of the things like we also like to do is we like to recognize the officers that write the most tickets and make the most arrests. Not that we're number driven, but it's always nice to recognize people for their contributions. So last year, and Angelo, if you could step up right there. So Angelo led the department, step right up, in both arrests and tickets. And I think this is like the second or third year maybe in a row that he's done that. And I'm glad that we're able to recognize him for that. Although, you know, we certainly don't have quotas, but we would like to do a little bit more traffic enforcement, and he is a model and a leader in that. So we'd like to give a certificate of merit to Officer Angelo Vlate in recognition of his valuable contributions to public safety in the town of Mount Hope. Thanks, Shirley.
Thank you. Angelo.
He's got a fan club.
And I'd also just like to recognize Officer Maxon Sander. He's not here tonight, and he was number 2 in traffic tickets for last year. He had a commitment that he couldn't get here for, so. Jim, if you could come on. So the department has 2 yearly awards, the Officer of the Year and then a Dedicated Service Award. And the Dedicated Service Award is usually given to somebody that goes above and beyond with all the little things that need to be done. Especially since we're a small agency, there's a lot of things from fixing leaks in the bathroom to plowing the parking lot, shoveling driveways, running out, helping officers on vehicle stops, putting equipment back together. I mean, there's all these different things that don't get the headlines, don't get all the recognition, but I think it's important that we do these kind of recognitions here. So this year, Jim had, well, not really this year, he's been talking about this for a while now, and he reminded me a couple months ago that he will be retiring this year. Dad's trying to talk me into staying. But, oh, his wife's here, there she is. And he had made a decision that he would be leaving us on June 1st of this year. And so, I don't know if everyone knew that, he had told the town board at the last meeting. And, you know, so Jim has had a long and distinguished career. He started in 1984 in the town of Highland as a constable. He worked City of Port Jervis Police Department for a couple of years, or a year and a half, right, 2 years. Went to the Middletown Police Department, rose to the ranks of Middletown, retired as the training lieutenant. Went to the town of Village of Montgomery Police, was the chief of police there. And then he came to us in 2012, and it's I don't remember the exact year, but he became the deputy chief, what year? 2 years ago. So Jim has had a long and distinguished career. He's touched on just about everything from the small constable jobs to a rather busy place in Middletown, working the desk on busy nights. He's done an incredible job here. When we think about the dedicated service, we think about Jim. He would be in early in the morning, fixing things around the building. I mean, he worked on the garage, he did all kinds of projects, and yet he'd be at the concert at night, and him and Dominic would be up there, and everything done in between. Reviewing the paperwork of the officers, going on calls, backing them up, answering questions, taking a million phone calls. So it really jumped out to me this year that we would award Jim the Dedicated Service Award. So on behalf of the police department and the town, I'd like to award Jim the 2017 Dedicated Service Award in grateful appreciation for his dedication to police work.
Next year, Jim. Next year.
Everything you have to do is.
I can hear you.
Convince her, and it's on the tape.
You don't want it, though.
Review the tape. I think, Paul, thank you very much, that was very nice. I've been doing it for a while, I'm getting tired of this time. I wanted to tell you at the last CAB meeting, we separated our paths, but I'll tell you, I really do enjoy this little town. You got a great town here. Everybody, previous boards and this board's been very nice to the police department, very supportive, and that really is appreciated. We have a nice opportunity for a mix of people. Angelo's been here forever, solid as a rock, and we have some young guys coming up that we've done a lot with. It is nice to give back, and work with Matthew in and back. We just sat down and did a little blotter today, a young 21-year-old too. Andrew's gonna have him. But at any rate, I really do appreciate the effort everybody put forward. It's a great bunch of people to work with, and it's a really great town. Please, I hope keeps on. We'll visit for coffee.
I should have mentioned this as well. Jim's son Brian is here. He's now with the New York State Police, if you all remember.
He started with us.
He started with us. He worked here for how long, Brian?
2 years.
2 years, and he ended up leaving us, and now he's with the state police. So just to shout out to Brian, and also Jim's wife Jean is here in the audience, and she's been with Orange County Probation for 30 years. How many years? 30 years. And she'll be retiring. I hope they know that, but she'll be retiring as well in the next few months. So
We're gonna do some traveling, and sorry, Chad. We already got the tickets. So.
I don't remember getting a letter of resignation.
Second time.
Where are you
all hearsay right now.
We're going to Scotland. That's the wife's trip of her choosing for her retirement. And then we're taking the camper and going cross country.
Nice.
Thank you one and all.
Thank
Thanks, Jim. And then, now we have the Police Officer of the Year. And one of the challenges we have is in picking this is we review a lot of different factors. The numbers that people produce, the intangibles, and everything pointed to Angelo Valake. So why don't you step up, Angelo? And I know, like, what else can you say? Like, every year I think I'm saying the same stuff, and because it's all true. Because Angelo comes to work every day and he works hard, and he consistently produces, not only statistical numbers, but he also comes up with the phone calls where people are thanking us for him assisting them with a flat tire, or with dragging a deer out of the roadway, and all the little things, again, that don't get the recognition. So Angelo is an absolute credit to the department, and therefore, we would like to present him with the 2017 Police Officer of the Year for outstanding achievement and dedication to public safety in the town of Mount Hope.
Thank you.
Did you want to say anything?
Just thank to the chief, his administration, the town board, the technology and the training we get is bar none.
I have one thing I'd like to say to you. Maybe I can get a list of the tickets you write this year, and I'll pack the house next year. Maybe we get a little rumble in the back. Thank you.
No, thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Before we wrap it up, I'd just like to thank a few other people. I couldn't do it without Sherry. Sherry Clark every year not only helps out here, but she really keeps things running at the police station. If you call, you're usually speaking to her, or Carol Dolan. Carol couldn't be here tonight, but the two of them, we couldn't do any of it without them. So I thank Sherry and Carol for all the work they do throughout the year. Again, I sincerely thank the town board. They've been extremely supportive. All of them for anything that we've really asked for, they've come through with. And if they couldn't, they've come up with other solutions to help us get the job done. So this town board's been very supportive, as has the village board, and I know Diane's here. The village board a few times has come to us, and we've worked through a few issues with them as well. So the help from you guys is really what makes the department run so well. And lastly, I want to thank Paula. Paula baked the cake. So she baked it the last few years, and I don't know if I publicly thanked her enough about that. The cake is delicious. She's done it every year. So please stay, have a piece of the delicious cake. We're trying something different this year. The last few years, Sherry's made a big pot of coffee and we've thrown the whole thing out. So this year, we bought a couple boxes of Joe from Dunkin' Donuts just to see how that goes, and we'll go from there. But again, thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Thank you for being so supportive as a community and also a board. Thanks again. And if the officers can come up and we'll try to get some pictures, and if you guys want to do cake and stuff and chat and stuff.
How's it going? Can I just grab the camera? Oh, I'll say it really quick. Hey, how are you? I just want to grab it this one. Congratulations, Chief.